Welcome to Pear in the Pod. My name is Guy, and I am the Pear in the Pod. And today, with me, I have. Are you ready?
Yes.
Rachel. Rachel, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So this is episode 5, and today we're gonna do something that I have been looking forward to for quite a while. We're gonna talk about wrestling with somebody who's never seen a wrestling event till today, and literally today. And not to do any spoilers, but you've already told me some stuff, and it's hilarious. It is hilarious to get a person's perspective on a first time watching wrestling event and a wrestling event that is, God, 41 years old now.
Yeah.
So, wow. Wow. So today, so you watched WrestleMania 1 for the first time today.
Yes, I did.
How? Okay, just this question. Only this question. Was it what you expected it to be?
I think that it was entertaining, and so that part was there. The other stuff, uh, I didn't know what to think until I was going through it and I
Okay.
was
Well,
making fun of it.
we'll get into it later, but the thing that still amazes me is um first of all, Rachel and I know each other through the military. But the fact that you were around in the 90s and wrestling in the 90s was huge. Huge. There's been movies, wrestling stars have been on TV shows. I mean, everybody knows Hulk Hogan. But like you're talking about an era where like you were never curious to look up The Rock, John Cena, Undertaker, any cartoon, anything at all. Like you never had a curiosity to like YouTube or look up wrestling?
No,
Really? Like nothing.
no, it wasn't my thing. My kids did wrestle in elementary school though, but obviously it was quite different than what I just watched today.
Yeah. So there's a term that came up for it. People started calling it sports entertainment because it's still a sport, right? I mean, you can't deny that this type of wrestling is a sport. It requires athleticism, it requires skill, it requires training, right? You can't deny that it's a sport. But it's
Yes,
sports.
it is a
It's
sport. I think so because, like you said, there's technicalities and things that
exactly.
you have to do to learn how to do it, and um, yeah,
So they started calling it sports entertainment, right? Which when I was younger, I didn't really care for the term. Now I embrace it. Now I understand. When people are like, "Oh, it's fake." Yeah, it's entertainment. Like it's predetermined, whatever. It's entertainment, but it's still a sport. So, but it just, you said your kids did wrestle, but it amazes me, and it's mostly females, which I mean I can understand. It's mostly females that have never seen wrestling before, but it just amazes me that somebody who grew up in the '90s um, knows absolutely nothing about it. I mean, did you know wrestlers at least? Like, do you remember hearing about Sting and Undertaker and DX and all that stuff when you were growing up?
I know of Hulk Hogan and uh, I think that that's all that I recall. I'll
Really?
be honest with you. Yeah. Well, I mean, when we met in March, the whole thing was uh, I don't know that guy, and then that's how this became what it is going to be today. But I had no, and I had never heard of it before,
No.
or never heard of him before, or
What guy was
really
it?
anybody.
What guy was it?
That ooh or
Uh,
woohoo. I don't I don't know. I'm probably doing that way wrong.
you sounded like a dog. It's woo. But yes, yes, Ric Flair. I don't remember how.
That's it.
I don't remember what the context was, but I think we were in class or something happened, and I did a Ric Flair or something. And then, you know what I loved is I loved at the end of our class when I was doing some wrestling symbols, and we won't say the person's name, but the sergeant major. Uh, I don't know if you know this. The sergeant major turned to me. He's like, "You watch wrestling?" I was like, "Yes, sergeant major. I love wrestling." And so, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's just like it's something that if you if I had met somebody who was born in the 2000s, if I met somebody who was born in the 2000s and they never watched wrestling, I wouldn't be too surprised. Because even though people say it's quote unquote bigger now than it's ever been, it might be bigger now in terms of business and money wise, but I think in terms of mainstream wise, the 90s and before is when it was more mainstream than anything else. I mean, um, back in the 70s and the 80s, it used to be on late like they used to have these wrestlers come on like the late show or the late night show or whatever that talk show is called. It's got a couple of names throughout the years. But they used to have
Yeah,
wrestlers come onto them, and like some of these wrestlers in their states back when it was territories. At this point, we're talking about 70s and 80s. Um, but they were like local celebrities. Like they were more popular than sometimes some of the local sports team, because the local sports team would trade their players, but the wrestlers were there for years at a time. And the wrestlers would become like local celebrities. So if a wrestler won a match in another state, like the state that he's from would feel like they just beat this other state, even though again it's predetermined all this other stuff. Because they were celebrities, they were known in their state and people would cheer for them when they went across the country and across the world.
I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, so it's wrestling is people. I don't know if people don't like to admit this or people don't like to talk about this. I think wrestling is one of the most American things. I think it really is because it's been in American, not mainstream. What's the word? American culture. It's been like an American culture since the carnival days and the carny days. So we don't have to go into a
Yeah,
whole.
that's
Good.
that's when Chris, my husband was telling me earlier that what they would do is they would have like the locals come and wrestle them and compete with them, and you'd see who
Exactly.
would win.
Exactly. Exactly. Or well, the story is they would have one of the guys would be a not a jobber. He would be a fake, right? He would be a fake local,
Hmm.
right? And he would wrestle one of the wrestlers, and he would like beat the wrestler, right? The wrestler would let him win, and then they would ask the locals, "Hey, if you can beat him, you get $100." And this guy did it, and the local would be like, "Okay, I can do it." And then they come in, and then the wrestler would beat the shit out of them, and then they would get the locals money or something. So that's why they call them carnies, because they were turning tricks. So they would plant a fake person. The fake person would beat the wrestler, pretend they won this money, and then the wrestler would beat everybody else who tried to beat him. So
That's
it's
pretty cool.
yeah, it's they return tricks. You know what I mean? So but yeah, it's been in American culture and the American society and for almost 100 years now, maybe even longer than 100 years. Depending on what traces and what stories you hear. So it's really American, and also the sports entertainment aspect of wrestling is more American than the other forms of wrestling. Because there's wrestling's big in Mexico, wrestling's huge in Japan, but in those places, it's not as fancy and as firework and all this other stuff. And that's something that Americans created to make it more of a spectacle and an extravaganza. Spectacle is a word I use quite often to describe this event because everything's a spectacle in this event. Um, but I feel like I just feel like that part of wrestling is very American. It's part of the American culture, and I mean it's everything in the U.S. We always blow it out of proportion and try to make it more grand than everywhere else. But in wrestling, we've done that quite a bit too. Um,
I can see that for sure.
Now this show and for several shows to come, there won't be a lot of female wrestling, but in the 90s and the 2000s there were female wrestlers, and it was more quote unquote sexual than anything else. But have you ever heard, or well, you say you never heard of anybody, but did you know that there were female wrestling? Did you know that female wrestling was a part of like wrestling, or did you know that female wrestling was a part of wrestling?
Uh, well, like I'd seen commercials, so I knew that there were some, but like you said, like late 90s, early 2000s is more when I believe it became popular. Um, uh, I just know that there's a really tall, black-haired lady. I don't know her name, but in the
Okay, oh,
2000s,
in the two tall black haired
maybe.
lady. Okay, was she really muscular? If she was really muscular, you're talking about China.
Yeah, yep, I believe you're right. If I saw a picture like right now, then I
What
probably know what it is.
ridiculously muscular?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's China. That's definitely
Yeah.
China. That's quite a story. Well, if we keep doing this, we'll get there eventually. So if we stay on track, we'll get there eventually. Um, yeah, female wrestling's a part of wrestling. It's definitely there definitely was a point where female wrestling was a sideshow or a bathroom piece. Some people like to call it a bathroom break. Um, and then there's been a couple of times where, at least in the last couple of years, where the female wrestlers had some of the best matches on the show. Um, did you know? I don't want to spoil too much because it's going to be an event. It's going to be an event later on. Did you know there's also midget wrestling?
No, I did not. Like I didn't. I mean, like you've seen stuff on social media, like
Hmm. Hmm.
a local place has that, but like, um, uh, no, I didn't know that it was like WWEF stuff.
Yeah, there's very little of it because kind of a sensitive topic, um, or can be sensitive. But there is a grand event later on. I think we'll get to it. I think we're only like 3 or 4 events away from it. There's an event where there's a match where they use dwarfs. I don't know if midget's the word, but they definitely use dwarf
It's
little
definitely
people.
not.
Oops. Oops. Um.
But
So
I bet that they did call it that though, like
I'm sure they did.
to for the entertainment purposes and not the correct terminology.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. So yeah, there is a match later, or there is an event later on where there's a match where little people are involved in the match. So just to let you know, something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. Um,
Perfect.
okay, last question before we kind of start talking about the event. Kind of before we start talking about the event and see what happens from there. How do you feel? How can I say this? Okay, tell me how you felt. What were your expectations before the event? Before watching, what did you expect? What was that?
So I'm not gonna lie. I saw 2 hours on the Netflix, and I'm like, oh, I have to take 2 hours out of my life. And I was like, I really hope it isn't a waste of my time. And so my expectations, I was a little nervous about the time and being able to balance work and life. But I think that I knew that I was probably gonna laugh and make fun of the things that I saw, and I did. So there's
Okay,
that. But
okay.
but yeah,
You see
does that
what?
answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. What I've noticed with 80s wrestling, and this is how I view 80s wrestling, at least WWE 80s wrestling. If I could find a way to watch WCW and some of the other promotions, I would watch those with you because those were very serious. Because technically speaking, WWE is not the first pay-per-view wrestling event. WrestleMania is WWE's first pay-per-view event, but WrestleMania is not the first wrestling pay-per-view.
Okay, I was wondering how people were able to like watch that because the announcers were saying that they had like 1.2 million people watching, and I'm like, but Like, how did they watch it, and how did they know that that's how
Okay.
many people
Oh
were watching?
well it was closed circuit. It was closed circuit. What amazes me. Okay, well I guess let's talk about it. So we'll talk about everything. We'll talk about the overall aspect of it, and then we'll start going into the matches. I have like 2 pages of notes, so I'll read through my notes, and then as I'm reading through my notes, we can talk about the matches, and you can tell me your feelings about the matches and stuff. Um, so the first wrestling pay per view that I know of is Starcade, which is another company, NWA, right? And it was closed circuit TV, and basically it was just for like locals and someone national. I don't know how WWF was able to do this international. I have no idea how. I don't know how it
Yeah.
was like. I just don't know. I mean, I know the some form of internet or something like that. Telecommunications existed back then, but I don't know how they did this. I really don't know how they did this. Um, but there were 2 events prior to this that kind of started building everything together. Um, Vince McMahon did this thing where he started combining, and this is why it surprises me when sometimes people say they've never heard of this, because he combined MTV and rock and roll with wrestling, which they call the Rock and Wrestling Connection. And because at that time MTV and kind of like the pop rock scene, pop scene,
Hmm.
it was the most popular genre at the time. You know, it's just that's just the way America was in the 80s. It was just the most popular genre at the time. So he started combining that and putting that together, and he figured if you take something that's popular and you inject wrestling into it, you're automatically bringing in a certain audience to the wrestling. Some of them will be like, "This is stupid. I don't want to watch this," and some of them will be like, "Hey, you know what? I'll try this. I'll try this out." If Cindy Lauper if Cindy Lauper likes this, and these other musicians say this is fun, this is cool, I'll try it out, and then some of them will like it, some of them won't. That's just the way, right? You just law of attrition. You have to get 1,000 people so that way you can keep maybe 500. So that's what he did. He did that, and they did not know if they were going to make money from WrestleMania till like 24 hours later or something. Like it took a while from them after the event ended. Like they spent their entire money, all they had in WrestleMania. And then after WrestleMania ended, they started getting the numbers, and it took a while for them to get all the numbers. And once they got all the numbers, they found out how much they were going to get paid from the pay per view and other TV networks. They found out that they had made money, and they were profitable.
How
So
much money did they make?
that I do not know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if that's ever been public record. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's ever been public record. But I do know that WrestleMania alone funded the next 1 or 2 events, and they did not make as much money in the next events as they made at WrestleMania. So WrestleMania was still their most profitable event, and it was able to fund the next couple of events. But it's also business, right? Business is one of those things where you have to stay in debt for a while, and then once you start making money, you don't stop making money. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think it's ever been public record of how much they made. Um, you mentioned one of the things you mentioned, which I thought was hilarious, is that the guy had to read the cue cards for the national anthem.
Yes. Yes, he did. I was like, "What is this?" And I was just dumbfounded. I was like, "Wait." And then after he was complete, the announcer dudes something about a body. I can't remember, but anyways, that was his nickname, is the body. And they're like, "Oh, he
Jesse
was,"
the body.
and
Yes,
Gorilla. They were
yes.
like, "He is so great," and I'm like, "What? Did I hear the same national anthem and watch this guy read from his cue card?" I was like, "What is happening right now?"
Um, I don't know if I've ever had confirmation on it, or if I've ever looked up for confirmation, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't supposed to be the one singing the national anthem. I'm pretty sure he wasn't
Oh,
supposed to
okay.
be. I think what happened is they didn't have the budget or they couldn't get somebody and they were told that he had a pretty good singing voice, so they just put him up there cuz he's actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but he's also he's the guy who interviews people in the back.
Yes, yes, at the locker room.
Yes. So basically he's he's an interviewer. He's not a singer. I think he did sing before or something, but they were told that he had a decent voice, so or something like that. I heard something like that. And yeah, but I wrote the singing of the national anthem seems very improvised. Um, there's no way.
But they did have somebody there. They did have somebody there that could sing.
Exactly. At least they had somebody. But if you watch again, doesn't really matter because it doesn't really spoil anything. In later events, they get like Willie Nelson, Aretha Franklin. Um, I think in like way later on, they've gotten like Mariah Carey. Like they've gotten like big time people singing these events. They're singing at the national anthem. But for the first one, for some reason, they just didn't get anybody, and they were just like, okay, I guess we're just gonna use him. Um,
Yeah, it was not that great.
so yes, Gorilla and Jesse the Body Ventura. Uh, Gorilla Monsoon, one of the most, maybe one of the most important guys in the history of WWE. He did a lot of things. He was a wrestler. He was a commentator. He was also a back office person, and he helped organize some matches and stuff. Um, one of the best color commentators I think in wrestling history. I mean, I feel like Jesse's also really good, but I feel like Gorilla, like I feel like he brings life to the matches. You know what I mean? Like if you close your eyes and you listen to just them two, you could kind of visualize a little bit of what's going on. Do
I
you
can see that.
you see what I'm saying? Like I feel like they bring
Yeah.
life because there are some announcers where like there'll be a match going on and they'll talk about something completely separate from the match. But these guys were like they were talking about the match. It would be like, "Oh, look at him, he's so strong," and in one match they're like, "Oh, this guy's a second generation wrestler," and oh, he looks better than he's looked in the last, than he's ever looked before, and oh, look at that
Hmm.
suplex. Like it brings some life to it. It brings some excitement. It brings some life to the matches. Um, Lord Alfred Hayes. He was the British guy. Did you
Hmm.
notice that he would talk? He would say the name of a wrestler, and then he would say, "We now go to this pre-recorded interview." And as he would say that, sometimes a wrestler would walk by him as he would talk about them going to an interview.
I did. And I thought when I was watching it, I actually enjoyed seeing the outfits that walked past, because I
Okay.
thought that that was very interesting. But I did notice that as soon as he said it, it was like they were, cut scene to the locker room, but they were going into
Exactly. I feel like I feel
into
like
the
I feel like
match.
yeah, that was a little bit of a I don't know, not a miscommunication, but a mistiming issue. And there's a lot of things I forgive, right? This is their first major event, and there's a lot of things that I forgive about that. The production on it, is really good. But I just thought that was funny how like the wrestlers would walk by him and he's like, "Oh, back to this pre-recorded interview," and I don't understand the need to say back to this pre-recorded interview. Why not just say, "Let's go to an interview, show the interview, and then show the wrestler in the match"? Like, there's no reason to say now we go to a pre-recorded interview. So I didn't like that. I mean, that might be like nitpicking and stuff, but that's something I didn't really care for. And it gives a little story. The first match is Tito Santana against the Executioner. And what did you tell me? Well, you were like, "What's up with these
I
names?"
Yeah, I said, what's up with these names? Like, I mean, Tito, I mean, that sounds pretty normal, but the executioner, and then everyone's like, we don't know where he's from, where he came from, we don't know how much he weighs, but they weighed everybody else. I thought that that was interesting after it, because like, oh, Tito, he comes in at 244 pounds, he's from Mexico, we don't know where the executioner's from. And then when they were talking to talking to um the national anthem guy, they were like, uh, yeah, all this shit talk, right? And then you're like, okay, you got to predict who you think is going to win, and then yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my thing, that I was predicting who was going to win based off of how they, talked to each other before they even stepped into the ring.
That's interesting. That's it, because there is some truth to that, right? Especially back in the 80s. Especially back in the 80s, it was pretty obvious. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of like screwy finishes and stuff like that that you don't expect, but it was pretty obvious who was going to win. Right? It was pretty obvious who was going to win. So you're telling me, and there's even a couple of theories of like, oh, whoever comes out second, the person who comes out second is the person who usually wins, or the person who has the more grand entrance is the person who usually wins, right? There's a couple of theories about that. Um, so could you tell right away that Tito was the one that was going to win?
I had a feeling, just because of the way that the executioner was talking,
Hmm.
that he wasn't going to be as great, because they had mentioned that he was undefeated and those sort of things. And then when the match was happening, the announcers were saying, "Yeah, I could see how he, is undefeated." And then,
Oh, so they were talking.
as it
Yeah,
went through,
they were talking about it too much. Yes, 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 yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Y- y-
But when I didn't write down my predictions, but I had a feeling that Tito was going to win that one.
that's
Uh,
something we could. That's definitely something we could do for next time. Because I mean, knowing you, you wouldn't like cheat or look ahead. But that's
no, I
something.
won't.
Yeah, that's something we could do for next time. Maybe we can start doing some of that stuff, or or like as the match, like not even that, like as the match starts, pause it, write who you think's gonna win, and then just hold on to it. And yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
could do something like that. Something I've noticed, and this happens often. It's just the nature of the first match. I felt like they talked about the event more than they talked about the match for the first match, right? They're like, "Oh, look at this grand event. It's the biggest wrestling event ever, and this is going to be the most amazing event." And did you feel that at all, or you don't feel like that happened? And again, this is something that does happen in first matches, but do you feel anything about that?
I think that they hyped it up, but I think that during the match itself, they talked about just exactly what was happening, and I didn't feel like they were talking about um, uh, anything else too much. But
Okay,
that's just my opinion.
okay, no problem. Yeah, totally get it. Good, thank you. Um, what is it? Thank you for sharing.
Thank
That's
you for listening.
Yeah, that's a little military inside joke there. Um, Little thing. I don't know if it's because my computer was loud and my speaker. I'm not saying I have good speakers, but I don't know if it's my computer that was loud. I felt like that old bell that they use. Doesn't it like have a strong sound? You know what I mean? Like I feel like I don't know if they put the microphone next to the bell, but you know that I feel like the old bell they use just like it kind of like rings in my ears a little bit.
So the bell that Liberace was holding, or
No,
just the
no,
bell
no.
period?
I'm talking about the bell in every match. Like you know how like they ring the bell in every match. It's like ding, ding.
Oh, I didn't pay
That didn't even
attention to
bother
that
you.
part.
Honestly, like
No.
again, not to nitpick, but I just maybe it's because my computer, maybe it's because I have my volume on my speaker turned up. But yeah, I just feel like it's a very sharp noise. Didn't really care for that. I feel like they put like the microphone right next to the bell. Um, And then I don't know if you noticed this, but another thing they did is, did you notice that they were talking about Greg Valentine a little bit during the first match?
Yes. And
So
I
okay,
wrote down, who is Valentine. I wrote it down, and but I
okay,
didn't look it up.
okay. So basically, because you did see him later on, he wrestles later on. So
Yeah.
basically, what they basically did is Valentine is the champion, and Tito is one of the top contenders. So that's another way where you could also tell who's going to win. If you have somebody who's like a top contender for a belt, he's probably going to win. So that way, that's so basically they were building up to the fact that Tito and Valentine are going to fight each other. Now, I don't know if they're going to fight each other at the next event or if they fight each other between WrestleMania and the next event, but basically they were hyping up that Tito and Valentine were going to fight each other. So, little spoiler, um, if they ever talk about, oh, can you imagine Tito fighting Valentine or blah blah, that usually means that the person they're talking about is going to win.
Oh,
That usually
I
means the
see.
person they're talking about is going to win. You know what I mean? This is like a warm up match. There have been a couple of curveballs where the number one contender loses, but usually, it means that person's going to win. Um, all right, so then we go to Lord Hayes. Again, he mentions the wrestler. As he's mentioning the wrestler, they walk by him. This one was King Kong Bundy. Yes, King Kong Bundy against Special Delivery Jones. What I think is hilarious about this is, did you realize King Kong Bundy mentioned a 5 count, but then he did the
Yes,
match?
I wrote that down.
But
I
then
don't
he
know what I didn't know what I don't know what it means. I wrote it down, and then they were talking about. I, I saw five, but when I saw counting to five, it was about pulling hair. So I didn't get it.
basically King Kong Bundy does this bit later on, and I guess he didn't do this because it was WrestleMania, but he does his this bit where he knocks somebody out. So he's so strong and so powerful that when he covers somebody, he covers them for a count of five, not for a count of three.
Oh,
But it
I
makes
see.
no sense because he still covered them for a count of five. So why are you talking about a 5 count when you still got up after a 3 count?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this match was like a record or something,
It
is what
was.
they kept saying.
Yeah.
9 seconds.
Yeah, what they do a lot in wrestling is they use squash matches as a way to build people up, right? Same way in sports. I mean, I don't watch a lot of sports, but it's the same way in, if a team does like a preseason match. You ever heard about how sometimes they do this a lot in college? They don't do this in professional because it looks bad. But you ever hear about like how a Division 1 team in college will face like a Division 5 team in college, and they'll knock the shit out of them? So that way it makes the Division 1 team look better, it raises morale, blah blah blah. So basically him beating this guy in 9 seconds, holding the record, which the record actually stood for like 30 something years.
Yeah, because
But
they said it was like 90 seconds or something
no, nine.
before.
Not oh yes, before it was
N
90.
Yeah,
Yes.
before. Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, the quickest match in WrestleMania history is this match for a very long time. For a very
That's
long time.
cool.
But yeah, just a squash, just him, just him defeating this guy, showing how strong he is, and all this other stuff. Um, I
Well,
think
yeah, because he was like twice his size. Because I wrote down that he's 445 pounds and the special delivery was only 239.
I
So
didn't,
I was like,
yeah,
holy crap.
I didn't know it was that big of a difference. But I mean, I
Yeah.
seen him like, but King Kong Bundy was just a beast of a person. I mean, he was just a beast of a person. I think they could have used him. I don't know what the behind the scenes is. I never looked into it. Me, I just like to focus on the wrestling aspect of it. But I think that later on he could have been used a lot better than he was. But I enjoy watching him when he comes on because he just destroys whoever he goes against. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Until he goes against the Golden Child, but you'll find out about that later on. Well, the Golden Goose they called him. Um, yeah, this is nothing, just a way for him to look better and blah 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 blah. What I wrote down is, I don't know if this was a coincidence or not, but for the first time they didn't say pre-recorded interviews. They said now we're just going to go to the back with interviews. So the next match is Ricky Steamboat versus, who did he go
Matt
against?
Bourne.
Matt Bourne.
Matt Bourne.
Ricky Steamboat is a legend. Ricky Steamboat is an absolute legend. You'll see later on, and if one day we can watch some NWA and WCW, he's an absolutely amazing wrestler. What did you think? And he was also a what's the word I can look for? A eye, and not an eyesore, a pleasure eye, not a pleasure eye. He was something the ladies like to look at. He was something
Oh,
that the girls came to watch. The girls came to fawn and watch Ricky Steamboat and see how hot he is and all this other stuff. Just something that happened. Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know about all that, but I
I
mean,
mean,
good
I mean,
for
he's
those ladies.
I mean, he's not a bad look. He's not a bad looking guy, but yeah. Yeah, it was something. It was something that was talked about a lot. He wasn't a ladies' man, very faithful, but it was mentioned more than once that girls would throw themselves at him. But what did you think about the interview and the match? Oh, and then well, I do want to say something about Matt Bourne, but tell me what you think about what you thought about Ricky Steamboat in terms of interview.
I mean, they did all right. It was just, I don't know. The interviews were just like really funny to me. I think that all the shit talking that they did, and sometimes it didn't even live up to the hype.
Yeah,
But um, I have a lot of great notes for the
go
for this
ahead,
match.
please. No, go ahead.
Okay, so I wrote down that he did the leapfrog, which I thought was hilarious because it looked like very staged. Like he's like, okay, I'm gonna throw you against these, or I'm gonna go up against these ropes, and then I'm just gonna hop over you. And
Okay.
then I talked about they bitch slapped each other.
And knowing you, you definitely wrote bitch slap.
I did. Bitch slapped him, and then I wrote that one of them. And I didn't write down who was doing it. I was just writing what was on my mind at the time. Um, one of them was like laying on the ground, and they were like kicking like a kid when they don't get their way. And then
Yeah,
also
yeah.
I
I
wrote
hate
that
that's how the finish. You're talking about the finish?
no, because I don't know if I wrote it down in order, but these were the things that were on my mind. But they were one of them was on their ground, and they were kicking like a kid, like they were on their back, kicking like a kid.
Yeah. So
And then
I think that was the finish, and that pissed me off so much. But keep going, keep going. I'll talk about that soon.
I said that he pulled on his panties instead of the little I don't know what
Okay,
you want to
his
call them, but
panties. We call them
yeah,
trunks. We call them wrestling
yeah.
trunks.
Okay, well, that's not what I called them anyway. And then my way of knowing like the suplex was it reminds me of like it rhymes with duplex. So in my notes I wrote suplex duplex. And then um that he just jumped on he jumped on the ropes and then he flew him like I don't know, flew on him. Like it was wild. This one was very entertaining for me, obviously, because I wrote a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think this is. I don't know if this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, yeah. I wrote it. I wrote this down. I said this pin is weird because Matt is kicking his feet up in the air, but he can't kick out of the pin. Like, how are you kicking your feet in the air, but you can't kick out of a pin? Like that just blows my mind. Um, what I did want to say is, have you ever seen a picture of a wrestler that looks like a clown?
No.
Okay. So there's a wrestler, there's a very famous character. Well, we call them characters. There's a very famous character called Doink the Clown. Matt Bourne is Doink the Clown. So later on, when you see Doink the Clown, just know it's Matt Bourne. But yeah, Ricky Steamboat is a legend. This oh sorry, I got a burp. This is not Ricky in his prime, but still good, right? Still good. Is this the one? No, it's not the one. It's the next one. Um, but yeah, next we have Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino. So you obviously don't know who Bruno Sammartino is, but Bruno Sammartino is one of the most famous wrestlers in wrestling history, and probably the most famous wrestler ever
That was the
in
manager.
yes in New York.
Okay.
Basically, what they did is his son. Well, right? I don't know why people think this all the time. He's the most popular, famous, one of the best wrestlers, right? So they're like, oh, he had a son. His son's going to be just as popular, just as famous, and just as good. And of
No,
course,
his son's name is David.
yes, his son's name is David. So his
But
son was,
so Luscious and Bruno were the quote unquote managers because it was Brutus Beefcake and then David
yes,
Sir San Martino or whatever.
yes. So basically,
Okay.
they brought Bruno in just to draw more attention to the match and to make David
Okay.
seem better. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
I see. Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
Bruno,
they kept dancing.
yeah, Bruno was just there to bring like if you hear people cheered more for Bruno than for the wrestlers. Which in my opinion, even if your manager is somebody famous, the manager should not be getting more cheers than the wrestler. I mean, the focus should be on the wrestlers, not the managers. But they've brought Bruno in, and there has been controversy where they talked about how, and even Bruno said this, how he hated that they used him to make his son seem more popular, and his son was only popular because of him. So nobody really like realized how talented his son was, which his son wasn't that talented. But nobody like cared about his son because they just wanted to watch him or they wanted him to be in the area. But so yeah, the name of the guy is Johnny Valiant, but they call him Luscious Johnny Valiant.
Yeah, he was a character
He
for
was.
sure.
He was. He's a yes. He's a backstabber and all kinds of stuff. Um, I think it was a pretty good match until they did a until they did the disqualification qualification. Until they did the double disqualification, it was not a bad match.
No, I really actually thought it was interesting that both the coaches or managers, whatever you call them, I just called them coaches throughout my whole thing until they started to say that they were the managers.
Coach, spoken like a true wrestling mom.
Thanks. But it was interesting that they were doing the double teams and they both came out and yeah, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah,
Like it
but
was entertaining.
it wasn't a bad match. Like it was not a bad match. Something they did something they did in this match, something the commentators did in this match, which I think is hilarious, which I never noticed. I think I've watched this show. I think I've watched this event about 3 times, and this is like the first time I noticed it. Did you notice that I think when somebody attacked somebody from the back, I think it's when Johnny Valiant attacked David or Bruno from the back, they called it a Pearl Harbor.
Yes, actually, they said that word multiple times
Yes, I was
in
like,
there, and so
wow.
I was like, what does that mean? Because that's when they fell to the ground outside of the ring. Is when they kept talking about the Pearl Harbor, and I didn't understand
No,
the
no. So
reference.
what they the Pearl Harbor was when I think so I know why you probably think that. So David was thrown out of the ring, and then when David was thrown out of the ring, I think Johnny Valiant went and attacked Bruno from behind while Bruno was fighting Brutus Beefcake. So because he attacked him from behind and without him expecting it, they called it a Pearl Harbor. Because during Pearl Harbor, the Japanese attacked us without us expecting it. And we were like,
Right.
you see what I'm saying? But the
Hmm.
fact that they actually called it a Pearl Harbor really like shocked me. I did not realize that they called it a Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I think that some of the words and the way they use them kind of shocked me as well. But again, I've never watched
Yeah.
this type of wrestling before in my life, so it was like,
But
okay.
a part of me is happy that they're not like censoring it, right? I mean, yeah, there are some copyright things which I will talk about soon. Actually, in the next match, there's a copyright issue coming up. Um, but I like that they didn't just like censor it or bleep it out. Like they kept it in there. They kept the original commentary in there. And Netflix apparently has done that. Like Netflix has not removed the original commentary for a lot of stuff. I think there's a couple of words or stuff that they might have beeped or they might have like, you can't really search for it. But I
Hmm.
like that they leave the original commentary, right? Because a lot of wrestling fans, I think a lot of real wrestling fans, we want to watch the most original version of the event as possible. And it's not because we're against censorship. It's because we want to see the event as it happened, not as you want it to be censored or edited.
Yeah.
So, I like that they left that in there. Like I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um
I like the realness, or
exactly.
as much realness as it can be.
Exact. Hey, wow. Okay. As much real as can be. All right. Sports entertainment. I'll take sports. Just don't call it fake. I used to cry. I used to literally cry when people would call wrestling fake.
So I won't lie, when Chris and I were watching it, I said, "Oh, this is fake." And then, as it went on, I'm like, "You know what? It's over dramatized."
Yes.
but it's not actually fake because they're really actually getting kicked in the chest and thrown down to the ground, and
Yeah.
they're actually
And
being
you called
slammed
it
to the ground.
you called it fake. You stopped calling it fake by the end of the event. There are people that when I was a young kid, there were people that would call it fake for months and years at a time. Like I'm not talking about, watching one event and be like, "Oh, this is fake," and then not talking about it again. I'm talking about every time I would bring up wrestling, there would be somebody who'd be like, "Why do you watch that? It's fake." And there were a couple of times I cried. I'm like, it's not fake. It's real. I mean, I used to think it was completely, I thought everything about it was real. I thought that when people caught on fire and when people were thrown from the building and like they died, like I thought all of it was real. We'll get to that stuff in the 90s. But I just,
Wait, people get caught on fire?
oh yeah, there's matches where they
Oh,
light people on fire. There's matches where they bury people alive. Yeah, yeah, it gets intense.
that's a hard pass. Why would somebody sign up for that shit?
Um,
A sports entertainment. I mean, I
Sports
get it.
entertainment. Sports entertainment.
Money,
Yeah,
money,
.
money talks, but
Yeah,
no.
they do. They do. And some people just want the adrenaline rush. That's why, again, not to completely go off topic, but um, that's why there's a lot of wrestlers who die from drugs and other issues. Because when you're wrestling, and I've seen them talk about this time and time again, your adrenaline is ridiculously high. Your adrenaline's pumping the entire time. Now imagine doing that every day for, I mean, they don't last 20 years, but imagine doing that every day for like 10 years. And then either one day being cut or one day being told you can't do this anymore, or one day you completely shatter your kneecap and they're like, you have to retire. Your body craves that adrenaline, that high again.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's,
I mean, because I mean, it does take athleticism, like, we said in the beginning, to do all of that
mhm.
um, because the first match, the executioner kept talking about Tito's knee and his
Yeah.
leg getting hurt, and that he was going to twist his leg, and then when he was twisting his leg, and
Oh
oh,
my God, did you write
ow,
this on a notebook?
yeah.
I hear you flipping the pages. Please keep that notebook. Please keep that notebook. You have to keep this notebook. We're going to call this your wrestling notebook. You have to keep this notebook.
Okay, well, it's my work notebook that I wrote into as well, so I have to maybe make a wrestling journal.
um,
I'll go
but
buy a no notebook for all of my wrestling
that'd be hilarious.
activities.
That'd be hilarious. Be hilarious. Um,
It'll be a bestseller one day.
you know what? Somebody could come up and be like, "Can I have your autograph?" You never know.
Oh, that would be weird, man.
Um, After this match, again, I've watched this event a couple of times, so I kind of pick up on some small stuff. Lord Hayes is actually called the co-host for like a quick second. They actually call him the co-host. I think he has his purpose, and I kind of like that sometimes he connects Gorilla and Jesse with the back room. How he's kind of like a go-between, and how
Yeah.
it's unnecessary, and later on they don't use that, but I do kind of I kind of like that during this one. Um, Again, I wrote that the stinging of the old bell just the stinging noise of the old bell just hurts my ears. I mean, it just hurts my ears.
I'm
Jay,
probably going to pay attention to that next time. Thank you.
well, I think the next event, I literally think that they put a microphone next to the bell or they put a microphone close to the bell on this event, and I think the next event they stop doing that. But this event,
Okay.
if you go back and you watch just watch the first match, and notice how loud the bell sounds in the beginning of the match and in the end of the match. Um, I don't know why. I do not know why, but Junkyard Dog JYD, very well known acronym and wrestler, is ridiculously popular with the kids and with everybody. Did you notice that?
Probably
That's the next match.
probably because of his like how he entered the ring, and had personality and like actually worked the crowd, and
Okay.
maybe that's why. Because Greg Valentine didn't really do that.
No, no. Greg Valentine is a heel, but JYD is yeah, very known, very well known, and it's also known that he's just a popular character. you know. And I do like his character, how he like mimics a dog and he has a whole chain and all that. So, but yeah, it's very known that that's just him. So I wrote this was a very mid match, very mid level, nothing too special, too extravagant. I don't
Yeah,
have a
for
lot of
like
notes.
for a belt match, I thought that it would have been different. I don't know.
Exactly,
I
right? Exactly. Exactly. But again,
because
go ahead.
because they um well, what I thought was interesting was the veto from the first match came and said that something
Tito.
was
Tito.
wrong.
Not Vito. Tito.
Tito veto. I wrote
Tito.
veto. I definitely wrote veto. Anyway, Tito definitely said that, and it's because well, I don't remember. It was a reversal, and
Yeah, so
yeah, it was
basically what
weird.
he did is he put his feet on the rope.
Oh
He
yeah, that's it. There it
yeah,
is.
yeah, he, yeah, he
On
used the
second ring
yes.
ropes.
Yeah,
Yep.
he used the ropes as leverage. He used the ropes as leverage.
Yeah.
What I like to talk about, and I don't want to spoil what happens in the next couple events. I don't know if it's the next. I don't know if it's the next event or the one after one. One of the things I hate the most in wrestling sports entertainment is non-clean finishes. Right? Like sometimes they're warranted. Like if a heel does it, right? I think it's cool when a heel does it, and I think it needs to be done in a way where they're still wrestling, right? Like a count out finish to me is not a real finish. A disqualification finish to me is not a real finish. A finish where somebody uses a foreign object, where they have a really tough match, but then at the end they use a foreign object and they win because of that foreign object. I can understand that. But to use the ring ropes, get the decision reversed, and then just be counted out,
Yeah.
to me makes no sense. It just aggravates me. Not that it was a good match, but again, the reason why they do this, if you didn't notice, is because again, more reason for now Tito to fight Valentine, more reason to show that Valentine is still the champion, and this also protects Junkyard Dog because now Valentine did not legitimately beat the Junkyard Dog.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
right,
But he got to keep the belt. Rude.
exactly,
I was like, that's crap.
yes, yes. Reversing the finish made the crowd happy, but it did nothing to help JYD.
Yeah.
And back to interviews we go. So the team, this team of
Was
the
wild.
yes, yes.
What was on that dude's face?
What was
I
on his
wrote
face?
that.
What was
I
on
don't.
his?
It looked like a piercing. I don't freaking know. But
Oh, that one. No, no.
I wrote.
So I'm
I
talking.
wrote.
That is a piercing, but I'm talking about the first team. So the first team you have, and I don't know if he's Iraqi or Iranian, but
Iran.
okay,
Iran.
so he's
Iran.
Iranian. All right, so he's Iranian or Iranian. So you have an Iranian, uh, Freddie Blassie. I'm 99% sure is Canadian, and then Vladimir Kozlov is no Nikolai Volkov. Nikolai Volkov is Russian. So you
Yeah.
have like the three most hated countries by Americans, right? I mean, you do. You do. We have never liked Canada. I don't think I've ever met an American who goes, oh, yeah, 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 we love Canada. Like, we've never liked Canada. We might not hate Canada, but we don't really like Canada, right? We just don't. So you have the three most hated countries by the U.S. And the way they do this is just hilarious. Iron Sheik, you can't understand a freaking word that he says. He is
Yeah.
so out of his mind nuts, right? It's just hilarious. And then Nikolai doesn't really speak English, and then Freddie Blassie, he speaks English, and he talks very formal, and he's great. Um, but yeah, their interview is just like it's just a mess. Like everything's just a mess. Did you notice that Mean Gene said "commie"?
Oh no. Oh
Yeah,
my god, that
instead
was
of
funny.
comrade, he goes commie. I mean comrade. He goes commie Nikolai. I mean comrade Nikolai.
That's funny.
So that was definitely a jab. I think the U.S. Express just did kind of a pretty bad interview, right? Didn't really like
Yeah, it was
they weren't
it was
saying
awful.
much. They're just blah. It was just blah. It's just I've heard that the U.S. Express is a wannabe copy team of another tag team. I can't remember which one. I can't remember if it's the Freebirds or what it is. But they're a WWE knockoff version of a popular team that was in one of the other territories. That's what it was. Um, but Lou Albano, yes, he has a piercing on his cheek. He has a piercing on his cheek. Yes, he does.
But like, why?
I don't know.
Why would you do that? I mean,
I don't
I
know.
understand uh, uh, art.
I
It's sports
yes,
entertainment.
yes. I don't know, but yes, he has a piercing on his cheek. Um, in case you couldn't tell, the music that the U.S. Express came out to was not their original song. This is actually one of the few times where they have changed the music because of copyright. The original song, I'm 99% sure, the original song is Born in the USA.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
That's why did it seem a little off? Did it feel a little weird them coming out to the
Yeah,
song?
they didn't really have it like rehearsed,
Yes, so
or they was like a letdown.
so that's not what it is. The original song is Born in the USA. But with the way that everything has been, like when they played it in the arena, when they played when WrestleMania first came out, nobody said shit because the only
Yeah,
people that really heard it were the people in the arena, and then the people years later who bought it on VHS. So nobody said anything, right? Well, when this went to streaming, and now you have major platforms that are now playing the song, and they have to pay royalties. And back in those days, also royalties didn't really exist that much. But now with royalty music, you can't play that song.
right.
So they had to change it. There's been a couple of songs throughout WWE where they've had to change it. This is one of them. Um, Gorilla, I feel like Gorilla and Jesse tried to build up both teams to make them seem competitive. Didn't really didn't really work. I usually like watching tag team matches. I feel like this tag team match was not as smooth and enjoyable as most of the ones I watch. I just feel like it was a, hey, we're going to do this move to you guys. Okay, now you guys are going to do this move to us. Now we're going to do this move. You see, it felt more transactional. It didn't feel like a smooth match.
Yeah, I think that this one was more like of the what we would call the rehearsed instead of the word you don't like.
Exactly.
Like they said, okay, we're gonna do some
Exactly.
duplexes.
Suplexes. Yes, yes,
We're
yes.
gonna you know
We're gonna buy some duplexes, and then
yeah
we're gonna eat some frog leaps, and then
yeah
we're gonna drop some kicks instead of a drop kick.
exactly like and then they hit him with a cane and then the managers looked like they were gonna go at it and it I don't know. I
So
wasn't nearly as entertained as I thought I was going to be.
exactly, exactly. Thank you, thank you. And you know what? As a first-time watcher, hearing you say that just like blows me away that you were able to notice some of this stuff. Now, a part of me actually enjoys the cane finish, right? Because again, it's a heel. It's a dirty finish, right? It's a dirty finish. So, and they did the dirty finish, and then they still won with a 3 count. They didn't do the dirty finish, and and do some other thing. So they did the dirty finish, and then they won with a 3 count. So I understand them doing that as a heel. I actually kind of enjoy that part of them doing of that. That's actually one of the few parts I enjoy that they actually did a dirty finish. But the match itself, yes, very rehearsed. It didn't feel smooth. It didn't feel. Another thing I've heard, another thing I've heard is that if a wrestling match should be like a water in a cup, where like if you move water around in the cup, it like flows from like one side to the other. Like if you move it the right way, it flows from one side to the other, right? If you move it the wrong way, it just splashes all over the fucking place.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what this was. This did not flow from one side to the other. It kind of just splashed all over the place.
Yeah, it was strange. I think that the beginning of, when old dude sang his anthem, it was better than
Yes.
the first national anthem, and then the Iron Sheik, he like hawked Hood. I was just like dying. I was
Yes,
like,
I forgot that part. Yes, when he makes everybody stand for the national anthem and he
yeah.
sings the entire national anthem.
Yeah, and then people are booing and throwing shit at them, and I was
Yes,
just like, so that
yes.
was the most entertaining part of
Yeah,
this
I'm telling
match,
you,
I
this
think.
team, it's a mess, but it's entertaining. Like that's the whole gimmick is that they're like this hated team that does all these horrible things, but that's the beauty and that's like the love of it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
Something you probably didn't notice is so you know the guy who interviews, his name is Mean Gene Okerlund. I don't know if you noticed that, right?
No,
Okay, so
did not.
his name is Mean Gene Okerlund. When Iron Sheik after the match, he called him Gene Mean.
Gene Mean.
Instead of Mean Gene, he called him Gene Mean like 2 or 3 times during the post match. Hilarious, hilarious. Um, okay, listen, can we take a quick like 2 second break? Actually, it'll be like 5 minutes, but we can take like a quick 2 second break.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's take a quick 2 second break. All right, I think we're good. All right, so yes, the next event is just yeah. So, anyways, this was just hilarious with everything that happened. So the next we have Bobby Heenan is interviewed with Big John Studd. Bobby Heenan is one of the best managers and commentators ever. Amazing, amazing mind, and I think you'll really like him in the future because he says witty things, right? He says things where you have to think about. He says things that where you have to think about how he's insulting you and how he's like what he's saying. And it takes a while. You know what I mean? Like I actually saw a video about this the other day. Like, you know when you insult somebody and it takes them a couple of seconds to realize how you're insulting them?
Hmm.
So
I
yeah,
do
so
that a lot.
you do that a lot?
Yes, but but people sometimes don't know that I am doing it
Oh,
because I
oh,
try to sound professional. I mean,
oh,
it's in my daily job. My daily job, I do that.
I'll admit I've done that quite a few times as well. So Bobby's one of those guys where he'll say commentary and he'll say some stuff and he's basically insulting the guys and it takes you a while for you to figure out how he's insulting them. Um, Big John Studd, a lot of potential. Uh, he was he was a good figure back in the day. He had potential. The problem is he came around during a time where Andre the Giant was around, and Andre the Giant was just anything like the world had ever seen before, right? In terms of
Yeah,
wrestling, he was
because he's
unlike
giant.
he was a
Like
giant.
he's a very big guy.
Yeah, and he could move, right? There are people like he's not the first person to ever be that size, but the thing is, he was that size and he could still move. Like there's a lot of people who are that big who could barely move, or they get to be
Yeah,
that big and then they're like really skinny. But he was big. He could move. He had size. He had his hands were gigantic, right? He had all kinds of. So he was a real spectacle. He was a real spectacle. So this wasn't really a match. You know, it was more of a gimmick than anything. It was basically Big John Studd was running around beating everybody, how saying that nobody could slam him, nobody could do this, nobody could do that. And then Andre the Giant comes in, he does it, wins the crowd, pops the crowd, everybody's happy. John Studd is defeated. Another good guy defeating the bad guy. So this wasn't really about the match. Was it fun to watch? Yes, but it wasn't a match, right? What notes do you have about this?
um, I put that if he slams then the dude loses $15,000 and it looked like fake money, or just dollar bills crumpled up. And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
Andre had to
It
retire, and
actually
I was
was.
like, Andre's not going to retire.
Yes.
There's no way, because they hyped, like I said, they hyped it up.
Yeah.
I wrote that they looked like they were hugging each other, and then
It
that
was.
he did end up
It was real money.
end up
Actually, it actually was real money, but it was like dollar bills.
Oh, okay. And then he slammed him and it was done. And then he grabbed the money and he ran
Yeah.
after he threw some of the money. And then I
Yes.
liked that afterwards they were picking up the money. So like the refs were picking up the money. It was funny.
Yeah. Um. Also, the interview afterwards with Andre, where he could barely talk and he barely speaks English, and it was just funny how Andre's just smiling and all this other stuff. So an amazing character, from what I've heard several times. Great guy. Unfortunately, he
Yeah, I
was.
like the fact that they said that he was just like a genuine person
Yes.
outside of the ring as well, and that like they like said that he was just a good person, period.
Yes, yes, and he was in constant pain after a certain age. He was just in constant pain because his body couldn't take that anymore. So he was just, and because there's something the same way there's like dwarfism. There's actually a gland in like your brain that makes you grow nonstop.
Mhm.
Apparently, Andre didn't have that. Like his body naturally grew to that size.
I don't remember if back in March when we met, that I had told you or not, but I have a great aunt. Her name is Phyllis, and I think that she may have known Andre personally. I have a family reunion coming up this weekend on Saturday, and I'll have to follow up with
Oh my
you on
God!
if she
Yes,
actually knew him.
yes, yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because she was a female wrestler back well before this, and then she
Well,
also
wait, you have a
was
family
big into
member who was a female wrestler and you still knew nothing about wrestling?
correct, but I didn't know she was a wrestler until she passed away.
Okay.
Um, and then she also brought Japanese MMA and stuff like that to America.
Where
Like she
was
was
she?
part of that.
What state was she from?
Ohio. Her name is Phyllis Zuver.
Hold on. What?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. No, not literally. Hold on. I'm sorry. Not literally. Hold on. But that's incredible. She brought MMA into the U.S. She knew Andre. Yeah, we have to get some more information. I mean, we already have a topic for the next episode.
Yeah, I will get more information this weekend on Saturday after our reunion, and I'll be sure to
Please,
take
yes,
take
yes,
what I gained from knowledge back.
yes. Please, absolutely. Okay, so, did you notice that Mula kissed Lord Hayes as she walked past him?
Yes, it said that dude, the Lord, just got kissed.
That dude, comma, the Lord, comma, just got kissed.
Well, the Lord is in parentheses because I couldn't think of his name until they said it, and then he had lipstick on his face.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so
And
this
then,
match, go ahead.
sorry, then I wrote, "What? Girls just want to have fun?" Is a manager.
Yeah, Cindy Lauper. This match, as I was talking earlier, this match is one of the reasons that WrestleMania exists. It's the Rock and Wrestling connection, as I said before. Um, the interview was okay, kind of lame. Uh, did you write any notes about the glasses?
Yeah, I said
I knew
her
you would.
glasses,
I knew
and
you
then
would.
and then I was Chris. At this point, this is when Chris was watching with me. Is like the whole time is around this time, and I said the dollar signs are backwards too, and then she was like, "Yeah,
Really?
somebody made these glasses for me." Yes, the dollar signs are backwards.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, well, I'm that's what I noticed, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. All
And
right.
then I thought that what was the most entertaining part about this was just, you know, Cindy Lauper, and then they talked about her manager being in the stands as well. And then it was just, I think that that was the entertainment part, was the managers.
So the first event, let me see if I can get the name of it. I can't remember what the event was before this one. The event before this, not the war to settle the score. Was it the war to settle the score, or was it the brawl to end it all? It was either the war to settle the score or the brawl to end it all. Um, he was a David Wolf. So it was the brawl. It was the brawl to end it all. So the brawl to end it all was another event prior to this, where David Wolf, who's Cindy Lauper's manager, he was actually one of the managers as well. Like he was actually one of the managers by ringside.
Oh, okay,
So that's why. So that's why they were talking about that.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's why they were
But
talking
yeah,
about that.
I think that that was like the best part, was that
Really,
Cindy Lauper part.
you don't think the best part was the fact that she flew on her to pin her, and then it was so obvious that she was trying to roll over and make it seem like the impact, pushed her over. You know what I'm talking about? That finish
Yeah,
was so weird and horrible.
yeah. So it says she tried to jump and it didn't work, and then it says climbs on the ropes and then flips over. That's what I
Yes,
wrote.
well, it was hilarious. It was so bad. Every time I look at it, I was like, what are they doing? Like, why couldn't they just reset and do something else or try it again? Like, it just looked so bad. It
And then all
was,
the hair pulling was kind of
yeah.
kind of a lot.
I will say this. I say, like, the only thing is that, um, I don't know. Part of me feels like it wasn't obvious who was going to win, but the more I talk about it, the more it's obvious that Cindy Lauper was going to win. Um, it was obvious Cindy. I'm going to write that. I need to write that down. It was obvious Cindy Lauper was going to win, right? Or the team that Cindy Lauper was on was going to win. But
Yeah,
it was just felt so clunky. Like it felt
yeah.
so clunky. So, and again, this is back then. Women didn't have a lot of training.
Mhm.
The females had more training as time went on, but it just felt so clunky. So,
It was,
it was obvious that the managers. Another thing I wrote down is that it was obvious the managers were going to get involved, but at least they didn't get involved in the finish. So that's something that made me a little happy.
yeah. I think that they like built that up to have that be at least dramatized and on the
Yes,
camera so that we could
yes,
all see it.
yes, yes. Okay, here we go. On to the real spectacle, and then we can talk a little bit more about everything as a whole. All right, first of all, do you have any idea who Billy Martin is?
Billy Martin was a New York Rangers manager, and he's the announcer. But other than that, absolutely not. But I did write it down.
I had no idea who Billy Martin was. No idea.
Yeah,
Never heard of him.
yeah. And then they talked about how he was a good baseball player too, and I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Liberace. We all know Liberace. Yeah. Wow. Did not really expect that. Then Muhammad Ali shows up. So yeah. So didn't expect that. Oh, well, I kind of knew Muhammad Ali was going to be there. So Jesse said Muhammad looks like he can go 12 rounds, and he said that twice. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. But I noticed that he did say that he looked good, and then as this match progressed, I didn't know that like he was gonna throw punches, and I was just like, oh my god, I would not want to be in the ring or around that when Bro threw some punches. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Um, Rowdy Piper has one of the best entrances in wrestling. It's simple, but it's like diabolical and it's symbolic and it's like, and I feel like everything changes when you hear those bagpipes. and he keeps that same entrances forever. Like there's
Oh,
events,
really?
yeah, there's events later on. There's a giant event in the future where he has an even bigger group of people playing the bagpipes, and he just slowly walks down, and they're playing the bagpipes. And so yeah, he keeps like that's his entrance. But I don't know. I feel like as a wrestling fan, I feel like when I hear those bagpipes, like things change. You know what I mean? Like it's Rowdy Piper. Like it's not gonna be Hulk Hogan. It's not like this is gonna be something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I I liked that, and I liked uh oh man, he had
what?
his name on his butt. Like what? His partner. Oh, yeah. Uh,
Bob Orton?
whatever his name
No,
is.
Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I thought that it was gonna be a good match, and I was very, very entertained, and I
You
laughed,
were
and
yeah.
I
You see. Here we go. Okay, all right. Let's take this one step at a time. First, Billy Martin sucked at announcing. He was absolutely horrible at announcing their names. Yeah, I didn't really care for him announcing their names. Hulk Hogan has his typical crowd popping entrance where everybody's like, ah, the Hulk Hogan song and all that stuff. Um, which I can't even remember what it is right now. All right, Paul Orndorff. Did you think he was good looking, or did you like his appearance, or did you just think that he looked like a wrestler?
He just looked like a wrestler.
Okay, I just wanted to know. Hey, I just wanted to know.
I
Hey,
did not
maybe
find I did not find anybody in this
event.
WrestleMania to be attractive.
Really?
Yeah, no, did not.
Okay, we'll see in future ones. We'll see in future ones. There's got to be at least one where you're like, oh, he's a good looking guy. Um, okay, so Pat Patterson, the referee, right? Pat Patterson, he's actually a very important guy in wrestling. He actually created the idea of the Royal Rumble. Nobody, you see, people had done a battle royal, but nobody had really done a Royal Rumble before. Do you know what a Royal Rumble is?
Nope.
Oh, you're in for a surprise. So the Royal Rumble is one of my favorite WW. It's one of my favorite wrestling events of the year when I used to watch it regularly. Which now with Netflix, I might start watching it regularly. Um, but it's one of my favorite wrestling events. But he's actually the one that had the idea of it. Do you know what a battle royale is?
Just from Fortnite, from watching it, not playing it.
Oh, okay, all right. Sure, I'll pretend I believe you. If they did Royal Rumble in Fortnite, it would be hilarious. So yeah, battle royales have existed in wrestling for a long time. They just put a bunch of people in the ring at the same time, and they fight till one person's left standing. You will see the Royal Rumble and what it is in probably it's going to take a couple of events, but you'll see it, and I really enjoy it. I just really enjoy it. So yeah, he's an important person, and I didn't know he was going to be the ref. Honestly, didn't know. So the entire show was building to this, right? This is it. This is the match, right? You have Hulk Hogan, huge name, Mr. T, who was a huge name back then. Mr. T's
I didn't
actually
know he wrestled.
he didn't really wrestle. He's actually he was just a big name, and I don't know if you remember this, but you remember Rocky 3?
I watched it a long time ago, but
Okay,
go on.
in Rocky 3, Sylvester Stallone fights Hulk Hogan and Mr. T in the same movie. Not at the same time, but he fights both of them in the same movie. So, Mr. T has been involved in wrestling. He doesn't wrestle. I think the only matches he's ever wrestled are like big name or like pay per view matches. He doesn't wrestle any other time. But yeah, he's a friend of Hulk Hogan. He got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. So it's a thing. It's a thing, right? It's a thing. Um, Jimmy Snuka. How can I say this? How can I say this politically correct? Jimmy Snuka was on trial for quite a while. Did you hear about this? Like legitimately.
No.
Okay, I won't mention it because I think he was. I don't remember if he was acquitted or if he was found guilty, but because he was like about to die, they didn't sentence him to jail time. But if you want to do some research, just be careful not to read anything about wrestling so you don't have any spoilers. Jimmy Snuka, I think, was accused of like killing his girlfriend back in like the 80s or something, and
Oh my gosh.
they never had evidence for a case, and they ended up taking him to trial like 30 years later.
Wild.
Yeah. So if you want to look into that, you can look into that. We can maybe talk about it, or you can provide some information for us later. Um, and hey, if he was acquitted and he was accused, and that's it. I mean, you know what I mean. That's it.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
Bob Orton. Well, you don't know wrestling, so you never heard of. Have you ever heard of Randy Orton?
No.
Okay. This is this is his dad. Randy Orton is a big wrestler, modern day wrestler. Uh, you see that cast he has on his hands, on his hand.
Yes.
So he keeps that on his hand for like 10 or 20 years. And
Why?
basically, that's just his gimmick. His gimmick is he uses his
Oh,
cast to like as a foreign object, and he uses it to hit people. And he's a manager and blah 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 blah. So
okay.
just to let you know
So
that
his
some,
hand's not he's not really broken.
I think he did actually injure it once, and then it just became part of his gimmick.
Oh, okay.
Um, to me, this wasn't a wrestling match. To me, this was just a spectacle. It was just a gimmick. It was a crowd pleaser, right? Same with the Andre Slam thing. This to me is pretty much the definition of sports entertainment. This
Oh
is
yeah, for sure.
this isn't wrestling. This this is sports entertainment. It's all about giving the people what they want, and it was all about popping the crowd. Have you ever heard of the term popping the crowd?
Huh.
Okay. Popping the crowd is when you get the crowd hyped up. You hype them up, right? The energy's building, the energy's building, and then you do something, and they're like, yeah, ah. That's what I mean. That's popping the crowd.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like dropping the beat, right? Like you drop the beat, like you build it, and then you drop the beat, and everybody goes crazy when you drop the beat. Same
I
thing
love
here.
that. That's a great analogy.
Isn't it? It is. It really is. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, I could say a sexual analogy, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah,
Um,
let's not.
so basically, it was just crowd pop after crowd pop. It was doing this. Oh my god, amazing thing, and then it was like calming down a little bit. And it was oh my god, this amazing thing, and it was calming down a little bit. And oh my god, this amazing thing, and it was calming. So that's basically all it was. Um, what I wrote, and again, we already talked about this, but if you want to judge this solely on its merit as a match, it was horrible. But it wasn't about that, and that is what made it special.
Yeah, I like the fact that what I liked about it was that there were a lot of tricks, right? And and those sort of things. And that um I really wanted the other team to win,
Oh, you wanted the
legitimately.
bad guys to win.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I and that's what I wanted. And I thought they had it, and then they just didn't. They
The other
didn't have it.
the other thing that I think is funny that Hulk Hogan actually said this actually messed them up. But you know how have you heard how Hulk Hogan always uses a leg drop? That's how he wins. He usually just like he like jumps on the guy with his knee with his leg out. Have you heard about that?
No.
Okay, so Hulk Hogan's finish is usually a leg drop. You'll see it in future events. He didn't use it this match, and I was really surprised. Like I thought they would use the leg drop as a way to finish the match. Like a part of me still surprised that the finish is an accidental illegal hit.
Yeah, because old dude took him out with the
Yeah,
cast.
yeah. So that still surprises me. It surprises me that they didn't do a traditional. It surprised me that they didn't do a traditional finish. It surprised me that they didn't do like, hey, I'm gonna use my super move or I'm gonna use my finisher move and that'll be it. Or hey, you're gonna accidentally hit him and then I'm gonna do my finishing move and then I'll win the match. Like that surprises me. That's something that surprises me. Um the post match interview. how did you feel about the post match interview?
I thought the manager part was, strange of it, but I like the fact that, they were both clearly out of breath,
Yeah.
and which showed to me, and I don't think it was an actual act because like they looked like they were incredibly labored, but like that whatever they did prior to that, it took, obviously teamwork, and that they really built each other up,
Hmm.
and like it was a good positive camaraderie that came together, and that like um they just built each other up,
Yeah.
and they were ready for the next time that they got to get
Exactly.
together.
Yes. I like that they kept that energy up, right? They rode that energy wave, and that again that crowd pop wave, right? Because if after the match it would have been like, oh, that was a great match, have a good night, it would have been like, all right, well that's lame. But like, yeah, that was
Right.
great. Blah, 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 blah. So they rode, they kept that going. They kept that going. Um. So yeah, that was it. Couple of things. Something I didn't mention before. Um, I didn't see this the first time I watched it, but on the Netflix version, I realized. What did you think about the opening graphics and opening music? Did you care about that at all, or like?
No, I wanted to like fast forward through it.
All
But
right.
again, this is, the
Yes.
first time I
Yes.
watched it.
Yeah.
And
So
so
the opening
they didn't
graphics,
actually I don't feel like they showed everybody that was going to be in it. Like I feel like they showed
the
future stuff.
the opposite. The opening graphics is past stuff.
Oh, okay.
The opening graphic is past stuff. So, as a wrestling fan, I kind of enjoy that because the opening graphics is stuff that happened in the past. So I can understand why you didn't care to see that or anything like that. Now, how did you feel about the closing graphics and the pictures, and how they show like pictures of the matches, even though some of them were in horrible quality? But how did you feel about that?
Um, I fast forwarded through it.
Okay, all right.
I will, I will, I will
You
take
don't
note
have
that I
to
need to
watch.
watch it
No,
next time.
no, you don't have to watch it. Just to see. I'm also one of those people where, and you see, I think movies kind of did this to us. Movies and a couple of TV shows. Um, Not to go completely off track, but I watched like 20 episodes of Shameless, and I didn't realize that at the end of every episode, they actually kind of show like an additional clip. And I didn't realize this because I was watching it on Netflix or something, and Netflix would just skip the clip. Like as soon as the credits rolled, you could just
Hmm.
click next episode and it would just skip the clip, and then I would go to the next episode and they would mention something that happened in this clip, and I'd be like, what, when did that happen? That didn't happen. So, and then also a bunch of movies throughout our lifetime had like after credits scene and all this stuff. So I've become one of those people where I'll watch everything till like the very last screen because Netflix doesn't. As soon as the credits roll, Netflix will tell you, do you want to skip? And sometimes you don't. You have to know if they're going to show something. So I've just gotten into the habit of going to the very last second of the scene, and then letting Netflix start the next episode instead of just skipping over. So it's just a habit of
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
Uh,
I saw the pictures briefly because I did fast forward. I didn't actually like click skip to the
okay,
next or anything like next episode, and then, um, but I saw, like it was the highlights, like
exactly.
probably like the cool parts where they were flying through the air
Yeah,
at
well,
each
yeah,
other
they try to, and again,
and stuff
I'm
like that.
pretty. Yeah, they didn't clean up the images, so it's like you can tell that like whoever took these pictures used the camera from the 80s. Like these are obviously like, like kind of grungy, like out of focus, like overlighted pictures. But anyways, that doesn't matter. That's not a topic that really matters. Um, I this is a couple of things I wrote. So first of all, the commentary is amazing. I think in some ways the commentary is better than the actual wrestling, right? In some ways,
Yeah,
right? In some ways. All right.
yeah, because like you said earlier, you could close your eyes and you could actually see what was happening.
Yes, yes. So it made the event a lot better then. Okay. So is this my closing thought? Yes, I'll say this is my closing thought. This is my closing thought. This is what I wrote. For its time, this is a good wrestling event. If you compare it to future events, it isn't good. It was the first of its kind, and that was a big deal. I don't know if I can say negative things since everything that happened pretty much happened for the first time.
I mean, that's a fair assessment. As somebody that has never watched it before, I
Yes.
had the expectation of thinking that, every single thing was rehearsed
Hmm.
prior to the event and they already knew, okay, this is what was going to happen. Like, I'm paying you $7,000
But
to
how
put
do
this
you
dude
feel?
down.
But I guess what I'm asking is, how do you feel? This is my thing as a traditional fan. How do you feel about the disqualification, count out, overly exaggerated finishes, um, the finish of the quote unquote final? Like, how do you feel about that stuff? Like, do you judge this? And I'm not asking you for you to give it a score. I'm not going to do that. There is one thing I'm going to ask for you to do, but it's not to give it a score. Do you judge this on, like, are you able to judge all that and think, okay, this is cool that they did this, or are you like, even as a first time fan, you still think it's lame that they did some of this stuff?
I mean, I didn't know that you could be disqualified. I thought you had to, in wrestling
Okay.
to win or lose, that you had
Okay.
to pin somebody. Because,
Okay.
that's traditional, is that you have to pin somebody.
Yes.
And or you win by points. And obviously,
Yes.
there's not a point system in this part, but I didn't know you could be disqualified.
Okay.
And
So even better. Okay.
the count out part was the disqualification because he didn't come
Yes.
back in like 5 seconds or something like that.
It's
So
it's
like,
like it's like 10 or 20, but yes.
yeah, and so if that continues, that would be like a bummer. But again, it's for the entertainment. It's for people to want to come back and see if that
I
dude does the same exact same
Yeah.
thing.
I so don't want to spoil this for you, but there's an event. There's an event, and I really hope it's not the next one. There's an event where it aggravates me so much because I'm not gonna say, but there's an event that aggravates me so much. There's an event that aggravates me so much, so much. Um. Okay, so this is what I want you to do.
Hmm.
If you want to give it a score, you can give it a score. You don't have to tell me. But what I want you to do is I want you to either give it a score or remember how much you like it, and then the next event we watch, you tell me if you think it's better than this event.
Okay, I can do that.
And then I actually kind of, now that I have a Google Gemini, I'm actually thinking about you know what I want to do? I want to create a program where basically eventually I'm going to enter all the events into it. And then, like, what you do is you pick which, you get a choice. I've always wanted to make this program. You get a choice of two events. Do you like event A more than do you like event A? Do you like event B? And then you click one, and then it randomizes the next, and you have to keep on doing it until you compare every event to each other. So that way it shows you. Because I feel like sometimes if you like A more than you like B, and you like C more than you like B, right? That doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily mean you like C more than you like A, or you like A more than you like C, right? Like, I feel like there's different levels. So you have to, like, I feel like you have to, like, be able to compare all these events. Have you seen these videos where people just keep on asking, would you rather this or that? And then at the end they're like, oh, this is your favorite superhero. And you're like, but is that your favorite superhero? Because you didn't compare him to everybody else. Just because you like Black Panther more than you like Captain America doesn't mean you like Captain America more than you like Iron Man, even if you like Black Panther more than you like Iron Man.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
but
saying?
Wonder Woman is the best superhero ever, so there's that.
Is Wonder Woman is oh wait, Wonder Woman's not a superhero. I thought she was just
Yes, she is.
I thought she was
Yes,
just
she is.
she's just a woman though.
No, she's not just a woman.
She's just a
Rude.
woman.
Okay.
Isn't she from like LG Island or something?
Whatever. No.
Did you hear this joke? There's this joke I saw online where this man and this woman are arguing, and then this guy comes in and he tags LG. This is why I said this. He tags LG, and LG customer support goes, "How can we help you?" And he goes, "One of your dishwashers is acting up again. Please take it back."
Rude.
Oh, come on. You have to at least chuckle at that one.
It's dumb. No,
It's a chuckle. It's not a chuckle.
no.
Okay. All right. I will admit that I have enjoyed Wonder Woman's story and what I know of it. I'm not going to say she's the best female superhero. I'm not going to say she's the worst female superhero, but I have enjoyed the pieces of Wonder Woman's story that I know.
She's phenomenal.
Is she wonderful?
She's she's wonderful. Yeah, she's definitely
Get
wonderful.
um all right. So, where do we go from here? So here's an interesting thing. So the next event is called the Wrestling Classic. I just checked. They do have the Wrestling Classic on Netflix. By the way, we're still recording, so you don't have to give me like an exact time or date for this. But they do have the Wrestling Classic on Netflix.
Uh huh.
Do you want to watch it and discuss it?
I mean, we can try it. Sure. Why not?
We're going to keep on
Let's do it.
going?
I mean, what? I don't know what else to do.
All right. So, on our next episode, we're going to talk about the Wrestling Classic. We're going to hear about this amazing aunt that you had with her amazing life.
Perfect.
Are we going to have a wrestling notebook by then?
Yeah, I'll have one.
That is awesome. That is
I will.
awesome.
I will take my notes from this notebook that I have, and I will put them in that one.
You know, another thing I was thinking about, um, and this is just kind of throwing ideas out there. You know, there's a couple of wrestling TV series as well. So maybe we can watch a couple of wrestling shows. And then if you're interested, maybe we can take a break and watch a wrestling TV series.
All right.
Sounds fun?
I'm game. I'm game. Yeah.
Your game?
Yeah.
A. I'm so happy to hear that. So, should we call it? Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
All right, so let's finish it out. So, this has been a great first episode. First episode of this. I really enjoyed talking to you about this. I'm really happy you enjoyed watching wrestling and you're willing to go on this adventure and journey with me into this wacky, weird world of wrestling. Um, Once again, my name is Guy. I am the pair in the pod. This is my battle buddy, Rachel, and that's it. Have a good night.